Like, my views are maybe a little bit radical for the average. Like, everyone says, watch out for survivorship bias, right? And survivorship bias, for anyone who hasn't heard the term, is when you look at the cases of success and you copy essentially the wrong things. Like, you copy things that are associated with success, whilst ignoring the fact that all the failures also had those same attributes. The classic example, whenever anyone talks online about survivorship bias, they show that picture of the airplane. I'm sure you really know.
Oh my God, if I have to see that one more time on LinkedIn. One more time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
For anyone who's not familiar with why people show that airplane, the story is from World War II. They were getting the airplanes coming back with bullet holes in them, and they were just barely landing, right? And they were like, okay, let's patch up the places where the bullet holes are, right? Makes sense. That's where they're getting shot, so you maybe want to reinforce the armor. And actually, it's the wrong thing to learn from that case. And what they realize is, hey, actually, these are the ones that made it back. They got shot, and they still made it back. So it's fine to get shot where they got shot. The ones that we're ignoring are the ones that got shot and got taken down. So they were putting the armor in exactly the wrong place. You actually need to reinforce the places where, the other airplanes got shot and got taken down by that shot, like the fuselage or engine or whatever. So it's a perfect example because you can just show it in one image, which is, where the bullet holes in the airplane are. But also it kind of shows how difficult it is to measure this stuff, right? Like, you can't very easily fly over to Germany, like, take a look at the wreckage of the things that the airplanes that got shot, right?
Or do a field experiment.
Like, it's pretty well defended. Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to be able to do a comprehensive lab study of downed airplanes in Germany, right? During World War II. The problem is that we have lots more data on the survivors because they get the talk shows and they come on podcasts and they write books and all these things, right? So that is something to be wary of. And I think that any good statistics kind of major or whatever will learn this story, and I think it serves you well in general to stop getting fooled by cases like this. However, that's me still manning the argument, right? My actual belief here is that survivorship bias is a feature, not a bug, because evolutionarily, one of the major advantages that we had, or at least our ancestors had, was that we kind of overreacted to copying success, right? So let me give you an example. Like, you're walking through the jungle. All of a sudden you hear a rustle in the bushes and your mate runs away, right? Yes, you could conduct a lab study and do a grid search of all the different bushes nearby and then check which grid has a tiger in it, right? Or you could just run after your friend, right? and 99 times out of 100 your friend could be wrong, and maybe he was just startled by a monkey or whatever. But the people who survived, who are our ancestors, were the ones that ran away. They're the ones that overreacted to patterns in the data. And there's very, very little downside to overreacting, but there's potential huge downside to underreacting. So my theory is this, and like, happy for your rebuttal in return. My theory is that survivorship bias is just a natural consequence of overreacting to those false positives, and that you can't tune the system to only get the good without the bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, either you can be really sensitive to false positives, or you can be really sensitive to false negatives. Either you're going to overreact in lots of different cases and copy some things that are wrong, or you're going to underreact in some cases and die, right? So I think that the same thing in business applies, right? So applying it to business, it's actually like a pretty good strategy to just copy everything that Steve Jobs did, right? Because you're going to copy a lot of crap, right? And you're going to run into issues. But you might accidentally copy it if you don't know what it is that made Steve Jobs successful. Just blindly copying everything he did was actually way more likely to lead you to success than conducting a scientific study and doing like proper research into, you might get your PhD, but you won't create a successful startup.